Also want to drop in the Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, which the last couple of episodes, without giving away too much, reminded me why I was not standing for Michael Jordan for all of these years, why I really didn't like him, even though I do believe he is the greatest of all time. This episode, they went over the 1990 Senate race in North Carolina with Harvey Gantt versus Jesse Helms. And Jordan flippantly said, well, I'm not getting involved in that because Republicans buy sneakers too. And oh my goodness, did people have a problem with that? And I remembered it now. I was like, that's why I don't like Michael Jordan. And now we got people outside. Joe Madison tweeted, Michael Jordan, why don't you say something about these kids standing in line for your shoes? And still he's agnostic on that. And, even in this documentary, he did not apologize. He did not say he was wrong. Basically, what he said was, I wasn't a politician. He said, I never thought of myself as an activist. I thought of myself as a basketball player. I wasn't a politician. I was playing my sport. I was focused on my craft. Was it selfish? Probably, but that was the energy and not supporting Harvey Gantt. And in North Carolina, if Michael Jordan had come out for this black man to be in the Senate in North Carolina against racist, horrible ass Jesse Helms, it probably would have made the difference at that time. But there's a question. Should celebrities, Charles Barkley's like, I'm not a role model. Don't look at me as a role model. And that was the right thing to say on so many levels. Should a person, just because they are famous, also be in the position of doing what's right, especially black people? Do you think that that's a responsibility, an added burden that must come with your celebrity?
I personally think it is, Karen. I mean, I come from the mindset that there is a responsibility of being black and seen, because so many black folks are not seen, just not seen, let alone heard. They're forgotten. They're not thought about. They're an afterthought. I do believe that there is a responsibility for people who are black and seen to stand for something. Right? I'm not saying that you have to be an activist around every single thing. I'm not saying that you have to take a stance on every single thing. But if you look at it, Michael Jordan pretty much didn't take a stance on anything. I remember when at the height of in the 90s, where people were literally getting killed for Jordans, right? People were stealing Jordans. This was during the crack era. This was during the crime bill era. And Michael Jordan never came out and said anything about it. He was completely apolitical. That was just part of the way he moved through the world, was that he was apolitical. He did not want to be known for anything other than being the greatest basketball player in the world. And he accomplished that. That's what he did. But he took a lot of heat. There are a lot of people who don't bang with Michael Jordan, who don't buy the shoes because he was apolitical for so long. And that's a choice that we all have made and have all decided to make, right, one way or the other. I think that you lose something and the community loses something. Even Cardi B has figured out a way to take a stand on something, right?
On a lot of somethings. Yeah, on a lot of somethings.
A lot of somethings, right? Is that, I can be a great celebrity. I can be a great rapper. I can be a great entertainer. But when there's something germane that's out there, when I can lend my voice and lend my celebrity to something that is meaningful, then I think you should do that. The flip side of that, though, Karen, and Clay says this all the time, is that when people ask Jewish people about policy, they don't send Barbara Streisand to answer the questions, right? I do think that celebrities have their place.
She got answers, though. Barbara Streisand's not sitting on the sidelines either. She's going to let you know.
Right. And so I think that there is common sense that has to be deployed in all of this. I don't think that Sean Combs is a policy leader. I don't think that. And I'm not just saying that because I disagree with what he said. I don't think that Sean Combs is a policy leader.
I agree with you, but there's a difference. We're not asking for drafting of policies. He was asked to support the first black man from the state of North Carolina who was running for the Senate against somebody who had policies for decades that hurt black people in his hometown, in his backyard. We didn't ask him to do what Kaepernick did, which was to take a knee against police brutality, to take a knee to highlight that black men in particular were being brutalized and murdered in this country at the hand of law enforcement. Nobody was asking him to do what LeBron and them did, wear a hoodie in solidarity of Trayvon Martin, or even wear I Can't Breathe T-shirts at the basketball games, which is what LeBron and others have done. No one asked him to do that. But to sit on the sidelines and watch, as you pointed out, people get killed in your name, that's the least you can do is say, hey, don't kill each other. I mean, hey, we're in a pandemic. These Jordans are not important enough for you to risk your life. That's a PSA that takes 60 seconds that he could put up on social media right now. And he has been silent. So what I'm seeing with Michael Jordan is that there's no growth, because usually when people know better, they do better. Puffy and them are now Jay-Z. They've grown up, and now they're in a world where they're 50 and they're looking around and they see the impact of the 80s and the 90s and some of the debauchery that they promoted impacting black people. And now they want to do something. That's growth. I'm going to applaud that all day long. I'm not going to him for policy, but I'm going to applaud the growth in that. It seems like Michael Jordan hasn't grown up.
Yeah. You know what struck me in that, and I'm not telling anything that's monumental about the last episode, was his level of strategy around making sure that Nike symbol didn't show up when he had to accept his gold medal.
No, the Reebok symbol. It was Reebok on the Olympic uniforms. Yeah.
His level of passion and defiance and strategy in doing that, his thinking just as a marketer in doing that. What could that level of celebrity and status and thinking and passion and marketing, what could that have done, for the Senate race in North Carolina? One Michael Jordan act, and I think that because of this new generation of activist athletes, Michael Jordan's legacy and history will have an asterisk of absence from that.
Yeah.
It will have an asterisk of absence from that, because it's not like he didn't have a blueprint to follow. It's not
he had
like
Bill Russell.
He
had Muhammad Ali. No, even before there was Bill Russell. There was Jim Brown. Even before that, these were people that put everything on the line to make sure that he could do. Bill Russell had the horrors that man had to experience to break the color barrier, to be the first black to coach and play a championship team in Boston. In Boston, one of the most racist cities, when Bill Russell was playing there. Lord have mercy. You stand on his shoulders. Muhammad Ali is in a whole other category, in my opinion, of sacrifice. 866-801-8255. Ain't nobody ask him to do that, to sacrifice your titles and everything. Craig Hodges, who was on his team, who's absent from this. Somebody said, well, he didn't play on those teams, but y'all got Oakley and you got a whole bunch of people that didn't play on that Last Dance team in this documentary. Craig Hodges has almost been scrubbed from the existence, and he was blacklisted from Chicago because he was vocal about Michael Jordan. He was vocal. Not only was he, down with the Nation of Islam, but Craig Hodges, who played with the Bulls from 1988 to 1992, when the Chicago Bulls won and they went to the White House in 1992, he wore a dashiki and delivered a handwritten letter to George H.W. Bush expressing his discontent with the treatment of poor people and black people in this country. He wrote a letter to the president. So he didn't sit home. He showed up, wore dashiki, and then gave the president of the United States a letter about his handling of what was going on in our community. That's Craig Hodges, whose name we probably won't even see during this documentary. We won't probably see his face except maybe in passing. And he also called out Michael Jordan for not being politically astute. He drew attention to him. And he said Jordan was bailing out for not being politically outspoken. He was letting us down. Craig Hodges, his own teammate.